Georgetown is so much a part of the fabric of my being.
I really look at Georgetown as playing the critical role in my development as a person.
I had a worldview that I never would have gotten.
I know that our children are well cared for here because that's core to the mission.
Georgetown made me and made all of us believe that we could make change and be a positive influence.
I loved my time there and have loved my connection with the school ever since.
We're thrilled that our children have chosen to come to Georgetown, and we're following their passion. We have 2 graduates from the college, Tom, class of '07, Catherine, class of 2010. Michael, in the School of Foreign Service, is class of 2013. Each child takes away something different, and that's what's so special about the Georgetown experience. My wife Elizabeth and I recognized that there was an opportunity for us to not only engage with other parents, but to help bring them closer to the Georgetown mission.
I've been involved with Georgetown volunteers for over 30 years here at Georgetown, and he's right at the top of some of the best volunteers we've ever had.
I served as a member of the Board of Regents and on the admissions committee in Maine Campus Life, and afforded me the opportunity to meet and interact with alumni from around the world. I also served on the Parents Leadership Council. We raised the bar with regard to philanthropy, and we undertook a process to broaden and diversify membership to reflect the truly global nature of the university. I feel that I can make an impact, that I can help move the needle here at Georgetown.
Dan's been active on our athletics committee of our Board of Regents, and he has additionally gotten involved with the board of Hoyas Unlimited.
Cool, actually. Yeah. Now in practice, how far?
As a parent of rowers, he is very engaged in the rowing community.
Being able to prepare properly, train properly, have the best coaches, have the best equipment, have an experience which allows them to compete at the very highest levels is really important to us, and I think to many parents of student athletes.
He was a leading figure in supporting our multi-sport facility where our football team and lacrosse teams currently compete. He has also been a key figure in our boathouse efforts.
CHS was founded in 1988, so we'll be celebrating our 25th anniversary next year. We're very proud of the organization and the investment firm we've built. What I've learned through the investing business can be applied in a thoughtful way to non-for-profit activities in Chicago and certainly here.
Hennessy is a role model for what we want many of our student athletes to accomplish, and that is to have meaningful lives of purpose.
It's such an honor to be nominated for the Patrick Healy Award.
Dan is extremely deserving of this award. It's great to recognize him in his home city of Chicago.
We have 3 younger children, 2 of whom are not yet in college, and there could be some more Hoyas in our not too distant future, believe it or not.
I learned about Georgetown from my father, a member of the class of 1929. We came down here on the train, and I just fell in love with the place. My sophomore year, I started writing for La Jolla. And that was the year that Georgetown went to the NIT. If Georgetown's basketball made the NIT back in those days, it was a fabulously successful season. I met Linda in the cafeteria area of the law school. We took night classes that summer. After classes, we would go over to the Healy building on the main campus, and we would, sit around and drink cheap beer and eat pizza. October, a year after we graduated, and we got married at Dahlgren Chapel. Our daughter Meredith is a third-generation Georgetown alum.
I think it was one of the happiest days of his life when she got accepted. It is a tradition. It is something that is ingrained in that family, to be Georgetown alum.
Because of the Jesuit commitment to public service that I experienced at Georgetown, that led me to a very enriching career at the Department of Justice in the tax division for 28.5 years. There's no greater feeling in the world for a lawyer than to walk in and say, "My name is Michael Karam, and I represent the United States of America." I retired 6 years ago now, and it still gives me goosebumps to say that. Georgetown gave me the building blocks to build my future. That's why I have given of my time, talent, and treasure over the years.
He graduated in '72, but I don't think he's been away from campus for more than a couple of weeks at a time. He's been a standard bearer for the Georgetown Hoya Hoop Club and Hoyas Unlimited. He's worked hard at both those organizations.
I've been on the board of the Hoop Club since January of 1985. We purchased televisions for the Alumni Lounge over on the main campus so the students could watch games. We worked to set up the young alumni sections, get lesser price tickets for younger alumni.
Michael was president for a number of years, and he was able to hold the club together, continue to increase donations. They've endowed several scholarships. I think they feel the need to give back to the institution.
We recognized that Georgetown had given us so much that we wanted to provide opportunities for other students.
He's got a career of continually giving back to the institution. It's not just a one-shot deal, it's forever.
I am so incredibly humbled by this award. I definitely plan to continue with my service to Georgetown in as many different areas as I can.
I fell in love with Georgetown when my dad and I went there to visit and never really looked back. I came from Roslyn, Long Island. The guidance counselor said, well, I think Lee's going to be uncomfortable there. And my dad said, why? And he said, well, it's different. It's a Jesuit institution, and Roslyn is probably 80% Jewish. You're Jewish, and I think it would be a different background. So my father pointed to the globe on the guidance counselor's desk and said, you know, it's a big world out there, and I think this is going to be an incredibly diverse experience for my son. Georgetown was an incredibly broadening experience, and that's why I didn't leave. I went to law school there and loved my time there.
I have no doubt that Georgetown has been a big factor in both my relationship with Lee and in our success together.
What we've created at DLA, it's a global firm. I'm very comfortable in a global firm. I had a global environment when I was at college, and I loved that culture. I ended up in Chicago, fell in love with Chicago.
And over the years, he's become a huge contributor to the welfare of that city.
I think linking Georgetown more and more to the Chicago community is great. A number of years ago, went on to the Board of Visitors. I'm on the Corporate Counsel Institute to get more corporations involved, to get more people involved, to get more law firms involved.
He's been very involved in sharing his experience at DLA Piper about what's going on in the world, what clients want, what NGOs want, how the private concerns link with governmental policy, national security. I have no doubt that he's been a big help to Georgetown in that respect.
I think it's really critically important that you get the best and the brightest, and that financial barriers aren't an issue. And so I did a scholarship in the name of my father and in the name of my father-in-law.
He's one of those people who appreciates how fortunate he's been that his parents were able to send him to a school like Georgetown. And so Lee has made Georgetown scholarships an important priority in his philanthropic giving. Lee exemplifies what the John Carroll Award is meant to recognize.
It's obviously an incredible honor.
Lee has a very, very strong commitment to his family, to his wife Sue and his daughters Nikki and Jamie. It's one of the things I really admire about Lee.
No one ever would have picked Georgetown from Roslyn, And I'm grateful for the broadening that it's done and the people I've met and what I've done there and the education I got.
I hope I can make Georgetown a better place. Part of it is probably my DNA. Grew up in the Chicago area, went to Jesuit High School, Loyola Academy. Well, my father claims, although it's not true, that he said that I could go to school anywhere I wanted, but he'd pay for Georgetown. The Jesuits and lay teachers I had all told us, we want you to be good at what you decide to do, but we also want you to do it in such a way that you reason, you read a lot, you try to communicate effectively your views. We want you to be generous with your time and your spirit, and if you ever have money, you can be generous with that too. I never wanted the experience to end. I was asked to join the Board of Governors, which I really enjoyed that. My father at the time was still on the Board of Directors.
When Tom then joined the board, I knew that I would continue to have the best counsel, terrific personal support. I knew also that the family would stand behind the university philanthropically.
We have tried to act by supporting, among other things, at Georgetown financial aid, the ability to have need-blind admission at Georgetown.
But Tom has become the pillar that his dad was. The contributions they've made have been great, not least the countless members of the family that have come here.
The Southwest Quadrangle, it was a critical development for the university. I think transformed the ability of the university to attract the bright, diverse student body that we have today.
I like the fact that Reynolds Hall has the best views, or at least the best sunsets of the three halls.
Well, I've been at Winston-Strachan for about 30 years. My grandfather started here in the 20s, my father in the early 50s, and I started here in the early 80s. When I got here, I hit the ground running and haven't stopped since.
Exactly. This is one of those cases.
He's a Georgetown success story. He's been a remarkably first-rate lawyer at Winston-Strachan. He served the city of Chicago in countless ways.
I'm particularly happy that I'm going to receive the John Carroll Award in Chicago. I think it's also good to use this John Carroll weekend as a way to remind all of us here in Chicago that our relationship with the university can strengthen and get stronger.
The term loyal son of Georgetown could have been invented for him personally.
What Georgetown can do is limitless, and I'd like to be a part of that ride.
In an environment that was faith-filled and that was values-oriented was important to me. It kind of built on the family life experience I had. I was going to follow in the footsteps of all the men in my family, the generations of stockbrokers. So I came to the business school, but I lived and hung out with nurses. And just really it piqued my curiosity. I went over to the School of Nursing and asked if I could take an elective there. I was just really kind of hooked, and I thought, that's what I want to do.
All these years that I've known Colleen, and we lived together on 32nd Street in a way too small townhouse for way too many girls at one place. She's exactly the same person.
I got an opportunity to work at Calvary Hospital, and I worked there for 10 years as a clinical nurse specialist in psych, really caring for patients and families as they dealt with, life-threatening illness. When I was at Calvary in all those years, I became very involved in ethics and nursing ethics. So law school was really more of a means to an end. And I see myself first and foremost as a nurse. I am a nurse who has a law degree.
I think that her combination of those three areas, ethics, the law, and healthcare, is a unique combination.
People have invited me to stay involved and to participate in the Georgetown community. So certainly Georgetown is a place that I want to give to and to help it continue to grow and be as meaningful a community as it is.
She loves being on the board of advisors for the School of Nursing and Health Studies, and I know she has a very busy schedule, but there's always time for Georgetown.
To think about the School of Nursing now in its breadth and its scope, to realize that we will educate men and women who will transform healthcare, not only from the national perspective, but globally. That's really powerful and exciting to be a part of. Well, I've been very blessed. I have a wonderful family, wonderful parents, wonderful brothers, and now have really enjoyed wonderful relationships with my nieces and nephews.
She has a love for her family that is unmatchable.
I was really thrilled when I received the call about the John Carroll Award. So I'm enormously grateful and humbled.
Colleen is a person who has dedicated pretty much everything she does to somebody else. And luckily for Georgetown, Georgetown's one of those places.
There's a sense of desire to not only be proud that I went to Georgetown, but to make Georgetown proud that I was their student.
Georgetown is really where it all started for me, because I did come from a very small town, and I was quite sheltered up to that point. And it was at Georgetown that my eyes were really opened wide. There were several great Jesuits who were teaching at the time who were really had a significant spiritual element to them, and they were also men of service. And there are people I've remembered throughout my life. When I was a junior, I was fortunate enough to volunteer for Bobby Kennedy and get a job in his new Senate office. His empathy for the people who have the least, I saw a great match between what he was doing and what I was learning in the classroom. My legal career started out with my going to Egypt in the mid-70s and negotiating the first American investment in Egypt. I eventually left my law firm, went to Chase, and built their legal department. The Georgetown mission of service has really been important to me throughout my life.
I really would call him a man for others, and I think his work at Covenant House really does exemplify that.
Most of the kids that come to us are not only homeless, but they've typically been abused. It's really the neediest of the needy.
He's definitely made an impact on Georgetown University, being on the Board of Regents, being chairman of the athletic subcommittee for Georgetown.
I owed a responsibility to Georgetown to do what I could to help it be the best for other generations that came along. I met my wife while I was at Georgetown. She was at Trinity at the time, and she has been a co-partner in our efforts to get the women's soccer program started.
If it wasn't for Ed and Irene, women's soccer at Georgetown would not exist.
I felt that it was an option that Georgetown should make available to their women students, and that if they didn't, there would undoubtedly be a number of great students who would choose to go elsewhere.
At a period of post-Title IX, I think Ed and Irene were way ahead of their time. The Shaw soccer legacy will remain with this institution as long as we have intercollegiate athletics. He has 5 children. 4 of them attended Georgetown University.
And in fact, 4 of them have married Hoyas as well.
I'm happy for his entire family that they see that their father is being recognized in a way that they can cherish for the rest of their lives.
The fact that the award bears John Carroll's name really meant something to me. To the extent that I have been able to do some things after graduating, I really owe that to the way my eyes were opened when I was at Georgetown, and to the values and the sense of purpose that were largely developed while I was an undergraduate here.
We currently have 150,000 living alumni. And every year we pick a small group of them who have engaged in the most profound ways in their communities and with Georgetown. And we single them out as examples for the rest of the university community of people who have provided true leadership, who represent the very best of the university. And so to be back here in Chicago to celebrate them and to celebrate this city and all of its contributions to our university, this is very special.